name is Deram, the Deputy Controller of Customs in charge of administration, Nigerian Customs Service, Ogun 1 Area Command, Ogun State. Ogun State is a part of the Zone A of Nigerian Customs Service, which comprises all the states in the southwestern part of Nigeria. Ogun State Custom Command is domiciled at Idiroko, which is an international border that has been in existence before the pre-colonial era. This year we are glad to participate in the 11th edition of the virtual African Integrated Festival that is being held virtual because of the COVID-19 under the theme Developing the Culture of Integration. Of course, this is very, very important because at one time in World Customs, the theme was Custom Connects and Borders Divide. So we are very glad to participate in an event that is integrating so many countries, so many people across the divide. And of course, this year, the topic that the Nigerian Customs Service is going to share with our viewers is promoting cross-border business culture without encouraging smuggling. Of course, this is very important and very germane, and we're glad to the organizers for bringing us into the program. Like I said, we've been participating, and this year's theme is very, very exciting, considering that most borders were closed during the COVID-19. This is an opportunity for us to share our experience with the world who are going to watch us today, and then also further envisage and marshal out activities that can further integrate communities under disaster conditions that has just happened globally, that is talking about the COVID-19 pandemic. We are really grateful for the invitation extended to us to be part of this. We are really appreciating this, because this will also afford us the opportunity to share our experience on the role of Nigerian Customs Service in ensuring compliance to lead and supply rules across the border, and particularly in promoting conducive environment for cross-border business activities. This is very, very important because the COVID-19 experience exposed so many things, to the extent that borders were closed, businesses were hurt, businessmen were affected. We need to review and see where some of our operations will be used to improve the life and services of businesses. And of course, the choice of this very command is very apt, considering the command is at the epicenter of border operation in Nigeria. And again, further considering that the command and her contributions to seamless trade has promoted social and economic and security of not just the border community, but Nigerians, and of course our neighbors from Benin Republic, which is the closest bordering country to Nigeria from this part of the country. In discussing the topic promoting cross-border business culture without smuggling, we need to recognize that the management of trade has been identified as to have a direct correlation to the security and stability of any country. And of course, Nigeria is not an exception to that. You need to understand how its economy survives. And of course, the economy has to do with its trade with its neighbors, because the world has become global. And it is even more appropriate that it is happening now at the border of Idiroko, as I said before, because Idiroko borders Benin Republic, and Benin Republic has border with 5 other states, talking about Lagos State, Ogun State, Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Osun. So you can see that they are very important to us and very strategic to our business as a country. So we historically believe that the trading that we have been doing with them, that has gone beyond trade before politics shared us into different countries. We share historical antecedents with them. we share religious antecedents with them, and even before now, we share cultural, we pray up to them, we still share some cultural issues with them. But politically, yes, they are now a different country. We still recognize that as being very, very important in our relationship with them. So beyond trade, we cherish the historical relationship that we've shared with our neighbors, Benin. Indeed, commerce has always defined the evolution of nation states. The route from Idiroko goes beyond Benin Republic. It goes as far as Cote d'Ivoire, up to Togo, up to Ghana, up to Burkina Faso, and then starting from Idiroko to moving into Nigeria, it goes beyond Nigeria up to the Niger Republic, up to Chad, up to Central African Republic. So it's actually a very big international route that nobody will want to joke with, and it is something that we encourage that all business people that have the privilege and opportunity of trading in this sub-region should use this same route. The discussion will illustrate the challenges and prospects inherent in border communities. Yes, we recognize that being a border community has its advantages, but there are also some little challenges that and sometimes missed opportunities that are not properly harnessed in the border communities, and it is our expectation that through this discussion we are going to have, stakeholders will let us know about their expectations, what we are doing right, where they need improvement, and where they think that we should sustain, or where they think that we should jettison, particularly bearing in mind the challenges that came out of the closure of the borders during the COVID-19 pandemic. It is very, very important that we review regulatory activities that hindered trade during those unfortunate episodes. It is important we do it, because a custom role as gatekeeper of any nation has significant role to play in sourcing funds, in stabilizing the country, as I've said before, and of course improving the life and conditions of the stakeholders around the border community. It is important also that, considering the presence of this place as an entry point, we need to propose that all stakeholders that are watching this program, anywhere they are from the world, should send us feedbacks for us to respond to them and find out what is their expectation of the role we play. Why did I say this? While we are trying to promote trade, international trade especially, among between the two countries, we also observed that there are some other negative issues, prominent them being smuggling and money laundering and some other cross-border crimes. We discovered that, well, all the above has significant implications on internal security for both countries and even for the border communities that live across both divides. And this is one of the challenges that security agencies need to address. Similarly, as the agent with the mandate to man our national frontiers and collect revenue used in financing every other aspect of national development, these activities have direct bearing on the operation and performance of customs. Why I am emphasizing on revenue is because every custom administration have their peculiarities and their peculiar challenge. For Nigeria, the role of customs borders on three main things: revenue generation through tax collection from import and export goods, securing the border, and then facilitating trade. There are some administrations that their main mandate may be just trade facilitation because they don't dwell so much on import tax. There are some that dwell so much on export tax. But for Nigeria as a developing nation, the three are very, very important to the custom administration of Nigeria. And of course, we also know that some of the activities that the service want to promote here is mainly the one that we think will benefit the border communities without allowing the few bad elements that smuggle across the border derailing those expectations. One key thing that I must mention here is that sadly, most border communities believe that government agencies constitute some interference into their daily lifestyle. I use the word sadly because government presence must be established here in order to tackle the few bad elements that sometimes get entangled, because they sometimes get entangled in anti-smuggling operation of customs and other security agencies. This is actually one of the main challenges of border communities that customs want to address. Why did I say this? In simple terms, attempts to legitimately earn a living by members of the border community are often infiltrated by criminal elements who engage in smuggling. We recognize that not everybody that lives at the border earns a living through smuggling. Many are innocent, majority are decent people that earn a living. Many want to cross the border with legitimate documents. Many want to engage in legitimate trade, not illegitimate trade, but it becomes a problem. Customs efforts to ensure compliance under such circumstances are misconstrued most of the time because in trying to check who is who and what is what, sometimes delays are caused, inconveniences are caused. Of course, it is recognized, but if you must achieve efficient and effective security architecture at the border, you must make sure that nobody is exempted from checks so that you can separate the good people from the bad people. And of course, sometimes this leads to some hostilities internationally. One of the efforts that customs is making is to mitigate against conflicts such as this, and there are platforms that have been created for mutual understanding of the role of customs and indeed other government agencies in the implementation of government policy on cross-border trade. One of such platforms is the establishment of customs community relations, sometimes the establishment of international or bilateral customs stakeholders relationship. In fact, in the DROCO command here, we have done that several years back because Dr. Bonnie Botoku, who is the executive producer of this particular program, the festival, is the Secretary General of Nigerian Benin Inter-Border Forum. That forum serves as secretariat whenever there is a meeting between Nigeria Customs and Benin Customs, between other security agencies in Nigeria and other security agencies from Benin Republic, and has also served as a mediator when there are minor issues that both operators at the border does not want to escalate to a diplomatic level. And we must appreciate Dr. Bonnie Boteku for the role he has been playing in sustaining this. And as we all can see, this 11th edition is also aimed at further promoting such a relationship that he has instituted over the years. Now, why do we have customs at the border areas? As I said earlier, the role of Nigerian customs at the border dwells so much on three arms. import, export, and the facilitation of trade and cross-border movement. In the simplest of these policies that we have is to enforce import and export prohibition list. This list is accommodated in a common document for the entire West Africa called the ECOWAS Common External Tariff. ECOWAS is the Economic Community of West African States, comprising of 15 custom administrations within the sub-region. We came together to have a common document that will ease trade between us. We came together to agree on certain products that will cross our border. But each country and each custom administration was given the opportunity and privilege to further protect certain aspects of their economy. Hence, we have an import and export prohibition list. For Nigeria as a country, our import prohibition list of two types. One is the Schedule 3 of the Common External Tariff, which prohibits certain goods from being imported for trade purposes. You can import such goods for your personal use. You can import them for personal consumption, but you are not allowed to import them for trade, for sales. This is bearing in mind the provisions of World Trade Organization on matters of tariff barrier. We made sure that we abide by such by not making this so obvious to the extent that it hurts trade. We also have an absolute prohibition, that is Schedule 4. Items under absolute prohibition are such that you don't import at all, even in small quantities, except with the express permission of the government through the relevant ministry like Ministry of Finance, the presidency, or such person that may be directed to issue such approval. Items there include things like firearms, small and weapons, and items like that. And then we also have the export prohibition list. Because we are conscious of our role in preserving the environment, there are certain items that Nigerian government does not want to export. Take wood, for instance. It is government policy that you don't export wood in raw form in order to preserve the environment, the forest, and improve on our ozone layer. There are certain animals that are internationally classified as being extinct. We also play our role because we are members of CITES under the World Customs Organization to make sure that such endangered species are not trafficked across our borders. Take pangolin, for instance. Everybody knows that internationally pangolin is being hunted every day. So Nigerian Customs Service also placed a few of such items under the export prohibition list. Then we also have another schedule of the Common External Tariff. I'm saying this for the consumption of those Nigerians or visitors, Nigerians in diaspora who may want to be coming home, and those other visitors that may want to trade with Nigeria, for them to have knowledge of this. Of course, some of this information are at our trade offices at the various embassies. Schedule 2 exempted certain items from paying duty or from being denied import into Nigeria. Take, for instance, personal effects of passengers who are coming into Nigeria, of course, are exempted. You can bring in your personal effects so long as they are not contraband. When they are bringing in your personal effects, you must show reasonable proof that they are actually personal. Of course, they don't have to be luxury items. So few items like cameras, jewelry are exempted. If you are bringing them in, you are allowed to pay a token as tax, because luxury most of the time is tax. Then some other items like, because we are at the border, items imported by consular offices are and our consular offices who are crossing our borders, those items are excluded from paying tax. They are also excluded from the provisions of this schedule. And like I said, these provisions are actually meant to protect our economy. And they are not just provisions being handled by Nigerian Customs Service alone. There are other relevant government agencies like Ministry of Finance, Standard Organization of Nigeria, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Food Drug Administration Agency. All these other agencies, Ministry of Environment, also collaborate with us in providing areas that they think there may be interventions. And of course, Office of the National Security Advisor also play a major role in ensuring that certain items, for instance, items that has to do with that can encourage insurgency, that encourage criminalities like light weapons and so on, are also prevented from coming in. Now, the challenge here is that generally human beings don't like being restricted. So it is expected that in enforcing some of these provisions of the law, people will ask questions. Why are you stopping us? Why shouldn't I do this? So a provision is also meant to accommodate this legally. So there are some legal mandates by Nigerian Customs Service, which is made public in the custom law. Our law is called the Custom and Excise Management Act. It is law of the Federation. It is part of Nigerian law, and this law makes provision for certain aspects of custom operation to be protected from abuse by the public or from litigation, and it is made public, so people are encouraged to learn about them so that you know when you are crossing your bound. Besides the Common External Tariff, which is part of Nigerian law, we are also signatory to World Customs Organization Revised Kyoto Convention, which are provisions that limit certain activities of both customs and our immediate stakeholders. We are also a signatory to the Arusha Declaration on Integrity. We are also signatories to the WCO Safe Framework, and of course to the World Trade Organization issue that borders on tariff controls and similar issues. And of course the African Union and the one that I mentioned earlier, the Economic Community of West African States Charter, the African Union Charter, and the ECOWAS protocols. These are some of the laws. So I've mentioned our immediate law, I've mentioned our international law that we use when we relate globally with other customer associations within the continent and of course within our sub-region ECOWAS. It is important that we mention some of these laws so that our friends, our stakeholders, people coming to Nigeria to do business will have an idea. One of them is the fact that Nigerian Customs Service under Section 8 of its law has the same powers as the police. So we play the same role as police under Section 8 of our law. Then we also have Section 11. One common thing with the developing nation is unnecessary interference in the operation of government agencies in enforcing the law. So one thing that this law provides is that under Section 11, you are not allowed to obstruct a custom officer from carrying out his duty under Section 11 of the Customs Management Act, Custom and Excise Management Act. And under Section 12, I am allowed to stay at this border station. So sometimes people will ask, what are you doing here? Are you supposed to be here? Of course, I have to tell them that under Section 12, the law empowers me to be anywhere in the air, port, the sea, and on the land borders, anywhere that's an entry point into Nigeria. And of course, Section 18 of this same law gives me the power to restrict movement of certain goods, as I mentioned earlier, in and out of Nigeria. So you can see that every aspect of what we do is covered under the law. Nothing illegal is being done. But one thing that I am glad to the African Festival is for giving us this opportunity to mention some of these laws, so that our diaspora people who are coming back will be aware of them, our stakeholders, our international collaborators will be aware of them, so that when you are coming into Nigeria, you know where your right starts and where it ends. We also have power to prohibit goods from being imported. Where certain goods are being imported, we have power to say, oh, it cannot come in. Like I mentioned earlier, customs here serves also as tax collectors. So we have powers under Section 37 of the Common External of the Customs and Excise Management Act to collect duty. And of course, where you contravene any of the custom laws while importing or exporting cargo, we also have power for you to forfeit such cargo to the federal government of Nigeria under Section 46 of the Common External Tariff. And of course, there is penalty for such action under Section 47. And then under Section 48, we have power to say you cannot export certain goods. For instance, Nigeria protects rosewood. There's a tree called rosewood. It's already being endangered. Under Section 48, you can't export that. You cannot export pangolin skin. You cannot export elephant tusk. So we have all these powers to prevent you from doing those things. And of course, we also have powers over persons entering or leaving Nigeria to answer questions as to their baggage. Sometimes it may sound inconveniencing that somebody crossing the border is being asked to stop, but we know what is inside your bag. For those that will think, oh, it is inconveniencing, there is a provision for that under Section 72 of the Common External Tariff. And of course, we have other powers, power to search premises, search vehicles, and to patrol freely. As a matter of fact, if you are traveling across the length and breadth of the border area, particularly within 40 kilometers of the border to any other neighboring country in Nigeria, you will see the presence of customs at few designated points. Those people are there because Section 158 of the Common External of the Customs and Excise Management Act permits them to patrol freely across such borders. These are just a few of some of the laws. But of course, please, for our diaspora brothers who may be coming back to Nigeria, or sisters may be coming back to Nigeria, or for other stakeholders and international traders who will be coming back, if you see those security agencies clutching arms, those arms are actually allowed by law. They are not meant for the legitimate traders. They are not meant for even illegitimate traders who are supposed to be arrested. But in case you are being attacked, those arms are there, and the powers to bear such arms is under Section 195 of the Customs and Excise Management Act. Now, it is obvious from the above that there are laws and provisions that mandate customs to achieve the following. It is very important that we mention that: enforcement of import and export restrictions and prohibitions, interception of contraband and illegal drugs and weapons, checking of travelers and their baggage, inspection of cargoes and mails, and of course assessment for purpose of collection of custom duties, and of course collection of accurate import and export data for economic activity purposes. This, to me personally, is very, very important. We cannot conduct international business without data. Very, very important. So the presence of customs here is not just to check the issues of smuggling. It's also to collect data from both formal and informal trading activities, from passengers that are crossing the border legally and even illegally. You need to keep records of that. Of course, we collaborate with our colleagues from the Immigration Department when it comes to that of passengers, and so on and so forth. And of course, we also apply intelligence and risk assessment to target suspect movements, particularly for items that we suspect may be deployed to terrorism, to insurgency, and so on and so forth. Of course, you know that there are times that people may want to traffic in chemicals that can be used as precursor for some of these items, and it is important that we play this role in order to secure not just our own country, but also our neighboring countries who cross-border criminals may want to cross into. And of course, we perform other agency functions for government by giving back feedback to the government for the formulation of policy on matters of trade. Now, what is our relationship with other agencies and stakeholders at the border? It is part of our role, like I said earlier, to facilitate legitimate trade across the border and to secure border communities. Apart from just checking issues of trade, our presence here is also a deterrent to people that may want to attack the border communities. Of course, every border community is at the extreme of every country. So it is important that they have the presence of security agencies around them in order to give them some level of encouragement and hope that they are adequately secured. No single government agency can do that, be it military, be it immigration, be it customs, be it police. So we collaborate. And like I said earlier, we also collaborate beyond security agency synergy. We relate with the community itself. So we relate with the traditional rulers of these communities, we relate with the youth associations, we relate with other government workers, with traders, and with other people. And we do this even across the divide. Our colleagues from Benin Republic also relate with us. So we have, before COVID-19, we used to have monthly meetings that bring security agencies from Benin Republic, from Nigeria, and we meet and discuss issues of common interest. We share ideas about recent cross-border crimes, and we map out strategies to check them. And again, let me also use the opportunity again to thank Dr. Boni Botoku, who facilitates and participates in such meetings. He serves as our interpreter, he serves as our facilitator, he provides for synergy between countries, both countries from Benin Republic and Nigeria. And again, this particular festival, for the past 11 editions, this is the 11th edition, has been promoting this same synergy, and we wish that it is going to continue even beyond the time that some of us leave our carry out our role in this particular border and get transferred to other areas where we are going to work. So we appreciate the organizers of this forum for promoting the inter-agency synergy, for promoting the bilateral synergy between Nigeria and Benin Republic, and for promoting socio-economic development of the border communities between these two countries. We are really, really grateful. And for emphasis, let me say that the misconception that smugglers should constitute a problem to us should be jettisoned. The challenge here is not just about the smugglers alone. We should also talk about the issues of making provisions for border communities. Internationally, every border community should have something that should encourage dwellers of that place to live life like every other person. This challenge is common with all developing countries across the world. Most of the border communities across developing countries are not adequately provided with some social amenities. If you notice, those communities most of the time feel isolated. So it is important that government all over the world, international donor agencies, everybody should make provision for border communities for proper integration with the rest of their countries. It is very, very important, particularly the issue of telecommunication, health facilities, and road infrastructure and education. Very, very important. As a matter of fact, part of what it is important I mentioned this specifically. The role of customs and government agencies goes beyond anti-smuggling operations at the border. We are also concerned about amenities like electricity, potable water, telecommunication facilities, inadequate health care services, poor academic facilities, poor road network, and indeed general lack of government presence in some cases except for the usual security agencies. This is one of the things that give concern to border communities from the various interactions that we've had with them here. We've been related with traditional rulers here, with youth associations, with some politicians that come here to relate with us. However, we have hope. All is not lost. In Nigeria, there is an agency of government that is called the Border Community Development Agency. I want to use this opportunity to request that politicians from this part of the community people, traditional rulers, and of course the promoters of the festival should partner with this particular government agency. In fact, I wish to request that the 12th edition of the festival should invite the DG of the Border Community Development Agency to make presentation at the festival and work closely with us with the traditional rulers of these communities, because government has made budget for this. Unfortunately, most rural communities that are at the borders don't even know that there is such an agency, that there is even such provisions for their own development. So it is important that we use this opportunity to make this known. And for those countries that are also not having such, you can copy from Nigeria and create your own border communities development agency. It is something that we think that we need to encourage. And again, let me state that government responsibility has become multidimensional, and it is also important that beyond issue of security, we should also promote sports for the youth all over the world, particularly in developing countries. The restiveness of youth in border communities is always very obvious. I will want the festival and Dr. Botoku to map out a program that will be running side by side with the festival that will aim towards youth development, particularly in the areas of sports. We can use such opportunities to intimate them about the activities of security agencies, the dangers of cross-border crime. So they grow up while enjoying what they love doing, sports. They get accustomed to government agencies and the role they play in their community. I think this will be very, very important. And one thing that I also want us to talk about is that it is the primary responsibility of custom to enforce trade policies of commercial government, which influence the economic competition of nations. We cannot achieve this if we don't have the young people that constitute majority of our population to embrace some of these policies. So this is something that I think we need to look into during the 12th edition, and I hope I will still be here to join you to promote that during that period. And it's something that I will also put as part of the report that we are going to submit to management when discussing what transpired during the 11th edition of the festival, that we should encourage Dr. Botoku and the Nigerian Benin Interborder Forum to promote youth development. And in doing that, we are not just going to dwell with youth in Nigeria. We should also encourage youth from Benin Republic to join us, so that we can even have youth match between Benin Republic and Nigerian youths at the border. We can play football, we can get involved in athletics, and so on and so forth. So it is very, very important that we do that. Now, let me dwell on trade and the legitimacy and the role of customs in facilitating international trade across the border. We do not expect to hurt legitimate traders in carrying out our role. Today, trade facilitation was amended and has assumed fundamental role progressively seen by government as an important element of their economic policy. So this is very, very important to us, that in trying to source for goods and services, we hope to balance trade facilitation with compliance. However, internationally is a major challenge. How do you balance control with trade facilitation? Why am I saying this? In trying to balance control, while you are chasing the bad guys, you find out that you may cause delay for the good people. Do you allow everybody to pass in order to facilitate movement for the good people? Or do you stop everybody and check everybody because you are looking for the bad elements? So it becomes a major challenge for government agencies, particularly customs, that balancing trade facilitation and compliance is one of the key things that we are trying to find very good way to promote. And this is very, very important, because whenever there is a meeting of the Nigeria-Benin Interborder Forum, we must highlight this. Very, very important that we highlight this, so that those coming from Benin Republic that are already profiled and found to be compliant to the provisions of the Common Standard Tariff and to the Nigerian law should be communicated effectively, so that when they get to Nigeria, minimal check will be conducted on them. Those coming from Nigeria going to Benin Republic, the same thing should apply. Internationally, this is called Authorized Economic Operators system, whereby you share intelligence, you share information about people that are already cleared. I will give an instance. Anytime you travel, if you are checked at one airport in the European Union and you are cleared, you hardly get checked again at any other airport. I think we need to promote that within the sub-region. But in promoting that, we must ensure that the traders themselves improve on their integrity. One of the challenges of customs administrations today, globally, is the seeming contradictory role of ensuring improvements in speedy delivery of goods and services across the borders, while maintaining systematic and effective intervention controls necessary to meet the demands of international trade, which has become so complex. And unfortunately, it has become even more complex following the closure of borders during the COVID-19 pandemic. And not only that, it's also characterized by threats of, particularly in the third world and developing countries, threats of terrorism, insurgency, and so on and so forth, and smuggling of light weapons, and so on and so forth, dumping of toxic waste, abuse of intellectual property rights, smuggling of endangered species. Perhaps with the extension of terrorism, almost every country has similar challenges, be it drug smuggling, be it intellectual property rights, be it abuse of quota, and so on and so forth. We recognize that, and it is our expectation that we are going to change some of these narratives. We hope that when the borders are opened fully internationally, that we are going to learn from this, and that the effort of the organization of the Vision Africa International Festival will give impetus to this expectation, because there may be need for us not just to wait for the 12th edition, but to organize a forum when the borders are fully opened internationally to review what may have happened during COVID-19 and use it as a benchmark to address possible emergency that may occur again, because the world is dynamic. And then further to the above, there exist government policies that are commensurate with implementing border development, like I mentioned earlier. Remember that I said we are going to invite them during one of these programs too, and if we are going to do that now, this is the right time once the borders are opened after the COVID-19 exercise. Now, goods that are seized does not necessarily mean that you don't have authority to make requests for them. There are provisions that says you can approach customs to give reasons why certain things are done, or certain action shouldn't be taken against you. We make provisions for that, but we found out that most often excuses given by traders is born out of ignorance. So we encourage that much as you have the power to apply to customs to clear your cargo across the border, you can also hire the services of a clearing agent, as we call them here in Nigeria, or a freight forwarder, as they are called in other climes, in order to clear your cargo. And it is also important that we use this forum to encourage people to ask questions. I may not want to explain what it takes to become a clearing agent or what it takes to clear your cargo here. But I expect that during feedback, such questions will be asked, and we will be in a position to enlighten our viewers more on what is expected of this. It is so Christian in order to accommodate the sentiment of our Francophone neighbors, because even though Nigeria initiated it, all member administrations of that program are French speaking, including the Central African Republic. They are members of the Security Collaborateur. It is a platform initiated by Nigerian Customs Administration and supported strongly by World Customs Organization to improve on the security between us and our neighbors. And bringing it back home here, at the bilateral level, Nigerian Customs Service have been having discussions with the customs administrations of Benin Republic to address challenges of non-compliance to our anti-smuggling laws across both nations. And agreements reached at such meetings are aimed at strengthening our border management activities and achieving respect for our individual laws. It is also hoped that there will be further of such meetings and administration between our administrations. It is very important that I mention this so that we will continue to sustain the good relationship between us, and then address issues of non-adherence to agreements reached by those from both countries that may not want to abide by the law. I dwell so much on this collaboration in relation of the impact of smuggling to the resources of both countries. Smuggling doesn't favor any country at all, be it Benin Republic, be it Nigeria. The two administrations are losers. And of course, it is important that we improve on our bilateral relations with Benin Republic, because like I said before, Benin Republic has border with Lagos State, Ogun State, Kwara, Sokoto, Kebbi, Osun, Zamfara. So you can see that they are very, very important to our security, to our economy, and to everything. Now, some of the challenges that we used to have before, which sometimes rears its head, is an attack on security agencies, not just by criminal elements from the other country infiltrating. No, they are not getting to that extent. We still have some elements that think that security agencies shouldn't be. It is hoped that what we've succeeded in achieving so far of such criminal elements not crossing the border during such attacks should be sustained. For now, they are localized in the sense that few people wake up and say, look, you can't police us. They are being addressed, and we hope that such should be encouraged, that they shouldn't gang up against security agencies. And then we also hope that there should be improvement in the integrity of the entire supply chain across the border. The fight against smuggling is not limited to just government agencies. The citizens, the NGOs, civil society organizations, traditional institutions, religious leaders, everybody must join effort. We appreciate the role being played by Nigerian Benin Inter-Border Forum, being promoted by Dr. Bonnie Boteku, who is also the executive producer of this program. And we hope that other people will also join. In this era of information technology, we also encourage people to deploy electronic platforms to share intelligence with us. You can reach us through Twitter, email, Facebook, WhatsApp. You can disseminate information. If you see something going wrong, you can also ask questions and get answers where you have doubts and obvious misunderstanding of some of the policies that we try to implement. Of course, the population is also expected to participate in conflict resolution where they exist, and particularly in monitoring suspected cases and being vigilant in their communities. In addition to this, we also expect that there should be so much awareness and that should be promoted, and of course there should be dialogue and cooperation, particularly between the two custom administrations from Nigeria and Benin Republic. And of course, we must promote mutual trust, not just between the custom administrations and its citizens, but also between the custom administrations and security agencies in Benin Republic and their own citizens, and between security agencies from Benin Republic and Nigerian citizens. These are some of the things that we should try to promote. And related to this is the promotion of effective dialogue and to seek synergy and collaboration for greater efficiency among the security agencies. And of course, resources should also be deployed by the two governments to provide logistics and infrastructure for the border communities. Of course, it is hoped that if we do this, we are going to achieve a serene border devoid of conflicts and misunderstandings. Thank you.